Good morning, sisters. I am so excited to be back. I know that I've kind of been offline for a while, and I've had so many other things coming into my field that needed my attention, but I'm really excited to be having this call today and be with you all. I'm sure that my Wi-Fi isn't that strong because I can see myself being pixelated, but I'm still going to continue having this call with you all this morning. So I would love to just welcome you all. For those of you going to watch later, I started this group, Bliss, Musings, Sisterhood, with the idea and the intention of really being able to share this knowledge that all of us hold, all the women that is working with women who has gone through womb trauma or who want to empower themselves through connecting with our wombs. And it's now developed into a group of over 500 women who can access this information and share this knowledge. So my name is Tish. I'm a holistic healing practitioner, retreat leader, and yoga teacher. And I live here in Costa Rica. I host yoga retreats and empowerment retreats for women. And also I work with plant medicine. I am super excited to be introducing my guest today, Becca Sarich. Welcome, Becca.
Thanks, Tish. Thanks. So good to be here.
So I actually met Becca on Facebook, and we reached out to each other, and it felt really good to bring her onto this group and into our sisterhood. She has so much wisdom to share, and I would love for you to just introduce yourself, Becca.
Sure. Well, thank you again for having me here. And I'm a Yale-trained midwife and a women's sexuality coach. And I just wanted to check my audio is okay right now.
All good.
All good. Okay, thanks. And so I've been doing this work with women for the last 20 years. I started in integrative medicine and then went into the medical field, and I've always been merging the two. And right now, my biggest passion is helping women step into their fullest power. They can feel confident and radiant, and I help them do that through transformational coaching. I use the ancient jade egg, which I'll talk about, and connecting with their sexuality.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And where exactly are you based, Becca?
So currently I'm in a really great town in West Virginia, right near DC and Virginia and Maryland. And it's a new community for us and my family.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I would love for us to just dive straight into our topics of discussion, which the first one is to really, how do we get out of our heads and into our bodies to experience sacred sensuality? It's a really juicy one. I love this.
So this is one of my favorite topics with women, and just exploring how we can experience more pleasure in all aspects of our life. And personally, and then through my work with hundreds of women, I found that one of the things that really keeps us from that true pleasure potential is being stuck in our thinking mind. It's that monkey mind. So this is the cortex. This is our thinking brain. And we can relate to this often if we're in an experience of sensuality, which could mean sexuality, or it could just mean experiencing pleasure, that we're thinking about our bodies, we're thinking about our day, we're unable to really connect with the deep sensations going on. One thing I've found to be really amazing to experience more sacred sensuality is to connect with that sensation. And it's something we practice over and over and over again. And I'd love to just share a couple of tools that I found to be really great for that.
Yes, please.
So personally, I love dance. I love music as a way to really connect with the primal brain. And that's our the first part of our brain that developed. And also our limbic brain, that's our emotional brain. But dropping out of the cortex and really just getting into that sensation, you know, through many, many cultures, music and dance has been one way to do that. Another way is really just simple, bringing oils in, doing a sacred massage. And that can be as simple as bringing oils onto the skin wherever. It doesn't mean having to be naked. It could be after a shower, or it could just be on your arms. But really connecting with what you're feeling with each touch. What is the sensation beneath that touch? Another is breast massage. It's one of my favorite personal self-care techniques, and one that I find really empowers women as well. And I discuss more about that in the book, the guide that I'm going to offer people from this call. But it's very simple. It's just a connection with our breath, either using oils, using our hands. It could be on bare skin or on clothes, and really just bringing the sensation to that center, which is also our heart center. So it can be whatever you imagine, but it's really connecting with our five senses, bringing in visuals that help us feel safe, that invite something like luxury, or something we'd like to invite into our life, using taste, bringing in exotic fruits, and just connecting with what is that exact sensation in my mouth as I'm eating this, for instance, strawberry. It can be so powerful to do solo or with a partner, to really enhance your experience of sacred sensuality.
I love that. Actually, I wanted to share, I have, this is called Beauty Balm, and it's Ayurvedic herb blend. It's by Banyan, and I use it for my breast, for massaging my breast. And I wanted to share what is in this because it's so delicious. It's ghee with coconut oil, olive oil, beeswax, shatavari root, and fennel seed, licorice root, geranium essential oil, and ashwagandha root. And this is an amazing, amazing balm. If any of you are wanting to really treat yourself into just loving your breast, this is it.
So beautiful.
Yeah, so yeah, I resonate with what you shared there. Just really being able to tap into the aspects of ourselves, is such a key for self-pleasure and self-love, and being able to activate all of the senses and really drop into the body with all of these sacred practices. So yeah, really resonate with that.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Since I touched on self-pleasure, let's just move straight into self-pleasure as a revolutionary self-love act. What does that mean for us?
So self-pleasure, I love the topic because it's one we don't get to talk about all the time. It's one of those topics that's been kind of taboo, or associated with one particular thing like masturbation, or all the beliefs that go along with it. And what I've learned is that the way we actually self-pleasure reflects how we feel about the deepest parts of ourselves. And through that, we can heal some of those deepest parts of ourselves and those deepest wounds through self-pleasure. And self-pleasure as like this balm and this tonic, this medicine that can bring a new aspect to those parts of ourselves where either they're shadow parts, or they're parts that we're uncomfortable with seeing. But the act of self-pleasure, a lot of us think of, touching ourselves and bringing us maybe to orgasm or some sort of sexual association. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be a bath. It could be the massages that we talked about, breast massage. But just knowing that aspect of it is a reflection of our self-love. Every time we touch our breasts, for instance, we can set the intention of bringing more love, compassion, and acceptance to ourselves. We have culturally, as the collective, a lot of body shame. And I feel like that is one of the biggest obstacles to us as women experiencing our full pleasure potential. So just even I've found inviting myself and women who I work with, as they touch themselves, to really bring in that emotional, spiritual aspect of, I love you. Like, I love this part of myself. I have compassion for the pain and the trauma I've experienced in this part of myself, whatever needs healing, but using it as this medicine. And I think it's part of our birthright to reclaim that power. And I've found it's transformed so many aspects of confidence in my life, of feeling powerful within, of feeling connected to everything around me, and just enlivening my life force.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Something that I really had to move through was this idea that self-pleasure was sin, right? I grew up in a very strong Christian home, and I was never introduced by loving myself and offering myself pleasure and really understanding the power that lies within that. And so I feel if there's women out there and they are struggling with this belief, what advice do you have for them to be able to move through this and not be in bed and be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? This is not on, advice that you can.
Yeah. So one thing I find is again, I work on deep coaching, so I'm going back to inner child things and trying to get to that root of that belief system, or what's keeping them from their ability to experience pleasure. But I find it's just the invitation. It's losing agenda with anything we're doing around self pleasure, like not having anything premeditated about it, of just the intention of, I invite myself to discover what may lie beneath this. So it's always the act, I find, of like going beneath. Again, we'll often come across a thought or emotion, and then going beneath it and saying, what is the sensation? So we're kind of, again, dropping out of that cortex and going more to that primal brain and saying, I feel heaviness here. I feel contraction. I feel hardness. And then just working with it, breathing into that area, moving in whatever way the body feels good, and sounding. So those three things, breathing, moving, and sounding, I found can heal, as you probably know in your work, heal so, so much. And just always inviting compassion back to the table, back to the table with you. I have compassion for this part of myself that I would like to expand, or I would like to heal. So those are the little synapses of the tools I use personally and with women.
Wow, thank you. I love those. Those are beautiful. I know for me, what really helped was after I've moved into this experience, I would also just take some time and journal afterwards to really reflect, like, what came up for me, like, and kind of then track those feelings to see, like, oh, that's still there. I can still work with that. I can still, and then slowly but surely just recognizing them, feeling them into my body, and then allowing them to dissipate as I'm, moving through these sacred sexual practices. So, I would love for us to drop in about reclaiming our sexual selves to find these divine gifts. For me, this took a long time. I'm turning 33 in a few days, and I can finally say that I'm still in the process of fully reclaiming my sexual and sacred self. But these are such divine gifts. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And I'll say too, I'm turning 40 in February, and although I've been immersed in this work, it's like whenever we get rid of one layer, or get rid of is not the great word, but like we dissolve maybe a layer that's keeping us from our full power or potential, we'll come up against another layer. So it's like the deeper we go, the more we'll come up against, but we'll be stronger and more able, or have more tools in our chest to like go to that level, and we'll go there when we're ready. So it's always a process of just, unfolding. And what I found is culturally in the collective is that we have a divide between our everyday selves and our sexual selves. And this divide is really, really harming us, especially as women. And it's a very volatile world to be a sexual woman in, as we can see what's unfolding in the news about sexuality and between men and women. And it's very hard to know, how do we express our full sexuality and walk in the world as a woman and kind of claim that as our power, yet still feel safe. And this divide, I feel, is keeping us from really realizing our divine gifts in a way. Sexual energy is creative force energy. It is the most creative, like most potential out of any sort of energy. We can look at spring as an example. Everything is sexual in spring. Everything is birthing, the flowers, the trees, the animals. But for some reason, we've like compartmentalized sexuality. So it's really what I found through my practices and working with women is just, it's like bringing it together and just embodying it fully, and that being a vehicle to find out what is our mission in the world, because we're locked in with that creative force energy. It's that disconnection from it that we feel lost. We feel like we don't know the next steps, or we don't trust ourselves enough to take those next steps. So that's what I found, how sexuality and divine gifts really interplay, is that, trust and that connection with a creative force. And the ancient traditions of Tantra and Taoism realized this connection and learned, made all these practices and processes to help cultivate it and move it through the body so that we could realize our full activation and healing of mind, body, spirit as human beings.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes to all of that, sister. Amen. So the next thing I would love for us to dive a little deeper into is, how do we find a divine feminine within ourselves through our womb and our yoni space?
So in my work as a midwife, but I did mostly gynecology and well woman care. And then I dove into Mayan abdominal massage and holistic pelvic care. So really working intimately with women in many different ways, and women throughout their life cycle from like 12 to 90. I've had the privilege of working with, is that I noticed this increasing disconnection between our womb space and yoni. And yoni, just for anybody listening, being the Sanskrit word for sacred temple, referring to our vagina and sometimes our womb as well. So this disconnection I'm finding is really manifesting physically as womb and yoni dis-ease. So as a women's healthcare provider, I was helping women try to navigate, fibroids and endometriosis and infertility, painful periods, pelvic pain, just pain within their yoni space. And what I was seeing was the commonality of women being disconnected from their power and feeling totally disconnected from this space in their body. It's like our world kind of honors the mental, right? We are respected for our achievements in the mental world, what we're able to accomplish. And that's what's kind of taught in school, and it's the pervasive culture. But what I found is that the wisdom that women can access actually seems to reside more in our heart, but also our yoni and womb, and that these two places are intimately connected. Mm-hmm. So finding the divine feminine within them, to me, means finding what your womb and yoni is trying to tell you. So often those physical imbalances are like messengers from the emotional, spiritual world saying, please look at me, or I need attention in this way, or, I love you to honor yourself more by, taking more time off, or whatever it is. It's like these messengers come up and they get louder and louder and louder. And then a woman will go to a Western medical care provider and say, you have this diagnosis. But really all along there's been these like whisperings within her that she has heard, but maybe doesn't know how to interpret them.
Mm-hmm.
And is definitely not having the right guides, which is why I think a lot of us are bringing this wisdom into the world now to share with women and being called to it, because this is the wisdom of our ancestors. This is our birthright to reclaim this power within us. And so many cultures around the world, through ancient times, revered the womb and yoni as the source of all creation. And we're now navigating as women in this century as it's like take a pill or have a surgery or get rid of it or put it down, like having to push everything down that we're hearing inside.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the main suffering I see within women in terms of women's health concerns. So finding that divine feminine could be different for everybody, but simple practices like bringing our hands to our heart and our womb and just breathing in and bringing up earth energy and knowing that we're not alone. Like we have other sisters, we have healers. There's more coming out and rising up to guide us to find this connection. And there's so many ways to do it. But simple breath and movement and sounding is really powerful too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I used to suffer with ovarian cysts very heavily, and I didn't know that my body was talking. I didn't know how to tune into my womb wisdom and how to really listen to her. And because I was living in Costa Rica, there wasn't really that big of a help from the Western medicine world, like the doctors, and I didn't really resonate with what they were telling me and what they were saying. And I was just determined to really start to heal myself. And I realized that just making those small changes by, putting our hands on our womb and our heart and sending the love and the energy into those areas, really connecting with the feelings that come up, journaling these things. It seems like such simple practices, but it's so potent, So it's like, people come to me and they're like, oh, how can we fix this? And I'm like, this is it. It's really not that hard. So we don't have to always think of it being such a big thing outside of ourselves. We can just always come back to what is our wombs trying to share with us? How can we tune in more? How can we listen deeper? What wants to come out? Even with like the PMS pains and the cramps and everything else, this is not a bad thing, and I think we've labeled it in society as something's wrong with us and and we need fixing, or just take this pill and go to surgery. But if we just take this time when she's talking and we can tune in and listen in, we can really attune ourselves to come back into our cyclical flow and really thrive in life. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I really believe each woman has this. That's the divine feminine within, really, is that ability to heal ourselves. And we may desire guides along the way, or we may desire, techniques, but really it's like within. That's the divine gift, is that we are not alone. We have connection to the wisdom inside. And I always think my job is just to connect women with their inner body's wisdom. That's it. I'm just the guide. I'm just the facilitator for women finding their own answers inside. It's never from without. That's where we collect information, we integrate it, but it's always inside. And we often know it for a long time, but we don't want to look at it, or we're scared to. And that's why we have guides. Women are not supposed to be doing things alone, and we've been having to do that for a long time. But we're, we really, most of us know we resonate more when we're held. We're held in sacred circle. We're held by others. And I think that's why we're seeing this amazing revolution that's been kind of over the last like 30, 40 years. But I see it more and more. And with younger and younger women finding it sooner. And it makes me so excited, because I have a 10-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son, and I want them to grow up in a world where this is common knowledge. And I really think it's becoming that. it's there's a lot of work to go, but there's a lot of people integrating. And, my job was always to like bridge the two worlds, like bridge Western medicine, bridge alternative, integrative. And that was always my mission in the world. And it's becoming much more popular than when I started.
I'll hold to that. And I'll hold to educating our daughters and the younger generation so that they can really cultivate this culture, this new way of being from such a young age, and not just come to the age of 19 or 20 and already have gone through like, not being able to drop into their bodies or connect with their wombs and then have to do the work, but that we can do it from the ground up. So thank you so much for doing that, sister. Such a
thank you. Thank you to everyone who's doing it. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the Jade Yoni egg. So awakening our life force energy, our Shakti, through the use of the ancient Yoni jade egg. And also I'm excited because I have never used a jade egg. So
okay. Well, I have several, but I brought mine out just to kind of show on camera. It's a newer tool to me, so I'll just kind of show it up there. What I love about I talk about jade eggs. Yoni eggs is like the bigger term for any polished crystal that we use inside our yoni. But I definitely resonate with jade as being a really grounding stone. It was the foundational stone to really begin with. And I actually think it's one of the only stones we need. So this tradition of using jade eggs originates back to ancient China, and has basis in the emperors and the royal circle and the concubines that were so prevalent around the emperor, but also spiritual priestesses who were his advisors. So they developed in the Taoist tradition these practices to use with the jade egg. So it's not just the jade egg, but it's like the energetic physical practices we do along with them that are so transformative. And in Chinese medicine, we believe that all of the organ systems and glands are connected. And what they found through using the jade egg was all sorts of amazing, pleasurable benefits in terms of orgasm, longevity, beauty, health, but also an ability to awaken the life force and then circulate it through the body. And that led to whole body, mind, spirit healing. What I love about the egg is it's a really great tool to anchor into the pelvic space, because we talk about connecting here and like bringing our awareness here. That's a very almost like kind of like an advanced tool, right? Like we've kind of thought of, we like to anchor in with physical things as human beings. So I find just having the jade egg helps us bring our awareness to this space, because we may not even be able to feel it within our yoni in the beginning. But as we practice it, we get more sensitivity in our yoni. We start to really feel differences with pleasure, with how our muscles feel in there. So it's like a physical tool to anchor in, yet we use energetic practices with it. Jade strengthens the kidney energy in Chinese medicine, which really houses our sexual energy, and we call this Jing in Chinese medicine. So Jing is sexual life force energy. And I really do believe through my own experience and what I've seen with women that it can transform all aspects of health and really help us connect directly with that space. I have so many pearls of things I want to share with it, and I did create a guide for women to really awaken their inner power and access their inner power and connect with their sexuality using the jade egg. So that is my gift that I just recently created and like just finished. And I'm really using the jade egg in my work with helping women reclaim their libido, healing their womb and yoni, and accessing inner power and connecting with the divine feminine, because I found it was so powerful in my own life to just transform through like the cellular makeup in my body. And again, it's not just the egg, it's the practices that go along with it. So in my guide, I'm just giving some really, really beginner practices, but there's so much in the Taoist tradition that you can just keep expanding on. It's really, really beautiful, and I feel super passionate about sharing it. So thank you for giving me the platform to speak about it.
You're so welcome, sister. And what an amazing gift that you'll be offering to all of our listeners today. Thank you so much for crafting that. Talking about that, where can women find you? What is your website and maybe your Facebook? And if someone is looking to work with you, what kind of sessions do you offer? You know, this is what I love about this work, is that all of us are in this together, and all of our medicine are so different. So every woman really resonates with someone else. So share a little bit with the women, you know, about your work and where they can find you.
Oh, thanks so much. So I'm online, and I'm working with women all over the world now, and that's one thing I love about technology. It definitely gives me frustration, but it is so amazing to coach someone in Ireland and Germany and Brooklyn, like all in the same day, to really bring in that collective. So my current website that I've had one that I'm going to redirect over to this one, because this one's my new creation, is just my name. So my full name is Rebecca Sarich, Sarich, and I know we'll put a link to that .com. And right on there, like on several different places on there, you'll see the access to the free guide, and that's to access your inner power and connect with your sexuality using the jade egg. So I definitely invite women to just tap into that. And then the sessions I do are around womb and yoni healing. So I work with women for a 3-month period of time, using all of my 20 years of experience in integrative medicine to really, and using transformational coaching to get to the root imbalances there, as well as using the jade egg. And then I also do libido coaching, which is also for 3 months, a little more intensive meeting time. I'm creating a group program for women using the jade egg, which will come out around February. And I have an online course, which is really affordable for women who are having experiences of low libido, and really just helping them activate desire. So that's where I'm at online. And I have a Facebook group called Nourish Your Sexy, for just women to have a safe space to talk about sexuality. And that, you know, is something I've created earlier this year. So it's just growing. And I feel really, really excited about sharing this work. It's just been a culmination of what women have been asking me for in my practice. So really just listened, like, what's my next step? What do I need to do to serve women? And what kept coming up for women all ages was like, how do I connect with my sexuality? How do I reclaim my desire? And that's what kind of led me on this path. And through it has been amazing transformation for me, of course, too, because we learn we teach what we're supposed to most learn, I think. So it's been quite the journey.
Amazing. Yeah, totally resonate with that. We tend to teach what we are here to learn and what we are healing at the same time. So, and then holding hands for others to do the same, right? Bearing that torch. Like, you're not alone. We got you, sister. I'm going to you. Because we sometimes tend to think like, oh my God, it's only me struggling with this. But, you know, there's so many of us, and it's so beautiful to see how women are rising up together and really joining forces and just reclaiming our power, you know, really stepping into our most sacred self. But Becca, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was so lovely having you. Thank you for sharing your medicine and your wisdom. Blessings on all of your work and all of the women that will be working with you. And for all of the women listening or will be listening later, we honor you and we thank you. And if you have any questions, you can just post your message on the thread. And I will have all of Becca's information on the thread as well if you wanted to connect with her. I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Thank you, Becca. Blessings.
You too. Blessings.
Goodbye.
Bye.
So